What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live from the FlippingMadeEasy.com studio. .com today changed up, feel a little different. FlippingMadeEasy.com. Go check those guys out for all your flipping houses, needs, education, all that good stuff. Go check those guys out. They sponsor the studio. Here we go again.
What now?
I don't know. Echo.
Am I muted? Yeah, right.
Try it now. Try it now.
You guys still hear me now?
No.
We'll find out in 3,
2,
2, 1.
I don't know. Everything is off the way it should be off.
I fucking hate StreamYard sometimes.
No, what do you mean? No.
No.
What? Is it echo or?
Just quit. Go home.
Still.
No. All right. Well, that's muted.
Everything is muted. Everything is. Is it?
Mine's open. Mine's muted.
Mute him.
Okay. How about now?
Sorry, folks. Park's closed. Moose out front should have told you. I think everything should be fine now.
I get that movie reference.
You do get that movie reference?
I
Thank
do,
God, because I'm so tired of doing movie references and just being on my own. I'm like, nobody knows what I'm talking about. All right, anyway. I don't know. That was 11:01, so we're going to have to wait and catch up, and I think all good. Brian Casey, my man.
Buddy.
So that's on us once again. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Chop Sports Daily, coming to you live from the FlippingMadeEasy.com studio. As I said before, that I wanted to add the .com because that's where you can find all your information for Flipping Made Easy. They sponsored the studio for a year. We got to give them some rub. You see their logo on our screen right now, Flipping Made Easy. If you guys are into flipping houses, be sure to go check those guys out. They educate you. There's a free course. Enter the promo code CHOP. You get it for like 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to start a career in flipping houses, do it. I might. Why not? Because I don't have enough things going on. But in any event, we are here live, and it is Sturch. It is Gooch over there, and his producer, Dina, who obviously is really, really good at her job. That's why there's echoes and stuff. So we'll find her for that. We will take away her lunch, her food supply, water supply, everything. We'll empty the fridge that you've supplied us. By the way, thank you for the stock fridge at all times. It's just like, every time I wanted to put, oh shit, you know what? Damn, I got pizza in my backpack right now. Son of a bitch. But you know what? There'd be no room. There'd be no room in that fridge anyway because there's beer everywhere, margaritas everywhere.
So
like
you're
gonna
gonna microwave the pizza?
Yeah,
that's a tough one, bro.
What do you mean?
We need a toaster oven.
Wait, whoa!
You
don't microwave pizza?
Do you don't like it crispy?
I don't. I guess I'm not a crispy pizza guy. I don't know. Is that weird?
I don't know. There's certain things that I can microwave, and there's certain things that I don't. And
guys, you're talking to a guy that used to put Elio's frozen pizza in the microwave.
Yeah, used to,
and mastered it. I mean, used to, right? I wouldn't do it again.
There's no way you're if you're home, are you microwaving your slice or are you heating it up properly?
I'm microwaving the crap out of it.
Really?
Fast and effective.
Wow.
Fast and effective.
That is.
If I'm hungry, I'm not gonna be like, let's preheat the oven. Let's wait and see. Here comes the beef.
That's that's red flags.
It's not red flags. Stop it. Anyway.
Sociopath behavior.
Yeah. So in any event, to support Chop Sports and my bad pizza reheating habits, be sure to head on to patreon.com/Chop Sports. That will help us out. $3 general support. There are people that I know that haven't done it yet that said they want to do it. So do it. What are you waiting for? Also, big thing for us right now is to like and subscribe to this channel right now. When we went live, we were 6 away from the 500 milestone. So we're 6 away there. So spread the word. Tell your friends. We sent Anthony home yesterday with a bunch of postcards that like basically divvy out everywhere with all our information over there.
We
so
also
hopefully
sent Anthony home with the email list for the coupon code. So
yeah, so he will be doing that today.
So maybe that's why people are waiting to join the Patreon. They're waiting to see if we follow up on our end, which we will.
Oh my God! Why would you say again? Like,
bro, it's a joke.
I mean, no, but still,
it's a joke.
By the way, we're
honestly,
sending you shit.
There is people out there that have gotten their gift cards.
Say what?
There is people that have gotten their gift cards because I've redeemed some.
I know, right? Lauren, she's one of them. She cashed it right away. We do have to give one to Dina.
I mean, like, do I need to
Dina? You know what? If you keep producing echoes. You ain't getting shit.
No. I literally told her. I'm
It is
pretty
not my
sure
fault he
I
broke
made it.
his
I don't have
computer.
to email Dina. She's standing right there.
All right.
I can just tell you, Dina.
Dina,
your coupon
here's your code.
is
Gimme.
Yeah, all right, you'll get it. All right, everybody calm down. YouTube page, be sure to like and subscribe to the video that you're watching right now. Share it, let everybody know that we're really good at what we do. And when it comes to volume and audio issues, and there's always going to be something, and I'm not worried about that because we're really like setting up this studio to be really a brand new show when we get the desk and we get everything lined up, and we'll never have to touch another thing again in this studio, and it'll be just a shit ton better. Oh, I say what?
Until you take a couple days off and you come in and I rearrange everything.
I
But
had
you
it
can't. That's
mastered
ideally, once we get the
until you
studio
took
up
that
and
home.
running with the desk and everything, yeah, you're right. Hopefully, we get to that point.
We are
in
right.
the end of the month.
I was on point. We had like a week with no issues, and then you took the soundboard home.
She's
Messed
blaming
me
you
all
now.
up.
Listen to
I
that.
mean, you were down there fixing all the wires.
Big brother.
yesterday.
Trying to get the damn thing. There was wires galore. It's a freaking fire hazard waiting to happen over here. So anyway, eating pizza in a microwave isn't Italian. You're basically Scandinavian or something. In any event, bricks are lining up perfect today, side by side. My brother said, wow, you're right. Look at that. That is on the money. That is, ladies and gentlemen, like that is producing 101 right there. Dad called before and I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm producing. I'm getting ready for the show. He's like, all right, I texted you before to make sure you knew it wasn't an ass dial like I've been doing. Danny knows it. Danny probably gets one a day too. Like my dad just leans one way at work and then we're all getting FaceTimes and calls and shit like that.
You didn't hear the conversation I had with my father today?
No. Oh, did you?
I said, what's up? He's like, hello, what's up? I said, you just called me. He said, oh, that was an accident. So same thing, bro.
Why can't anybody figure out the cell phone? It's 2022. In any event, I'm exhausted, man. I'm exhausted. So from the office yesterday, I booked it on down to Woodbridge High School, my alum, to watch my Barons starch the JFK Mustangs in a wrestling duo. There's a lot of studs over there, man. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of kids. And when I saw the weight classes, that I prefer obviously the bigger kids because you feel like they're going to be there's a future if you have weight on you right now as a senior or a junior.
Well, not really. I mean, wrestling, you got guys, which we will talk about.
Yeah, well, that's
the one sport that if you are little, there is still a future. That's why I think wrestling is so endearing to someone like me who was a little guy.
It never worked out for me. My brother wrestled at 67 pounds. His head was probably 30 pounds of it. Like he had one of those pictures. I'll just do it right here. So when you take the team photos, right, or your individual photos, what do you pose like? You pose, right? Yeah. You did a thing. His thing was this. His head was the entire picture. It's still there. We'll pull it up. Here it is right now. No, I'm kidding. I do not have that. I should though, and I will get that. But anyway, Woodbridge gets it done last night. They're really good. They got a lot of kids that are really do, I believe, have a future. There's like a family lineage. In fact, Nick Shine hit me up last night, and he said that he heard my voice. He goes, "Are you doing the Woodbridge wrestling?" I said, "Yeah." Why? I was like, "Tell me you were there and you didn't say hello." And he said, no. He's like, one of the moms sent me a video of one of the kids I used to coach wrestling, and he told me their names, and I was like, damn. I was like, those kids are animals, right? So speaking of animals, how's our boy? How's Paz doing? I mean, I've followed, Paz but not as knee deep as you.
Paz is still killing it, bro. He's, I think 10-0. He's all the way up to. I think I've seen him as high as ranked 4th, coming off of a win against Wisconsin. Rutgers Wrestling actually dropped their first Big Ten dual meet to Wisconsin, and it's not great, but they had some bright spots in that. But the big match that Paz had, it was against top 10 ranked kid from Indiana the week before that, DJ Washington, who is a true freshman. I don't know if he's a true freshman, but when you get into the Big Ten, man, it's a gauntlet. It's just impossible there's nowhere to hide. I know that we have a Paz interview or something like that, like a clip that
they caught up to Paz. Yeah, Dina, pull this up. I want people to get an idea of what kind of.
Let Paz talk before I talk.
There you go.
We'll
pull it up, Dina.
Ooh, little
butt tap.
Little butt tap.
Yep.
I'll say they can't hear it.
Let's run that back. I just want to run that back real quick. Hold on one second. Here we go. Let's run it back one more time, just because I know you're going to hear it.
Really
Sorry.
good to get that top 10 win. I mean, we'll see him again this year at some point. We'll see everybody in the Big Ten at some point again. So it was really good confidence builder. Yeah, that's a position we've been working on a lot on top, and it showed there. So definitely it's going to help throughout the year now. So feeling really good about it. We're hot right now. We're on a good streak. Everyone's looking good. We're going to keep building and keep moving up. It's good to have Turley back in the lineup. He's like you can see, he puts points on the board. Greg is, again, a great training partner for me, and he's just, he's doing what he's doing.
So that's our boy Pie. I mean, look, this kid, it's like, the more I think about this kid, I'm just like, bro, he's literally the most humble killer
adorable.
I've ever seen. Like, he can talk to the Big Ten Network, and no, Ash, that was not live. That was, even though Kyle's saying yes, live right now. No, we had Pop. That interview came from his Big Ten win the other day over
DJ Washington.
No, Indiana. Right? Is that what I said?
Yeah, but that was the kid. Yeah.
Yes. So that came from the Indiana game.
He's the most adorable killer I've ever seen.
Adorable killer. I mean, we've had him in studio multiple times.
So
we got all of his merch. Check out his merch. But like, the kid is just, I don't know, man. There's something to be said about a kid who could just go out there and absolutely crush it and just absolutely just get things done time and time again. That team is just, there's something special about this team. It's brewing, bro.
Yeah, they have 3 guys that are ranked in the top 10. I don't know if that's the first time ever this early in the season. I think they did end up having 3 All-Americans last year, but they got a combined record of 40-0 with Sebastian Rivera and Greg Bolsack. Greg Bolsack wrestling at 197, entering the top 10. He's ranked 7th. That's Paz's training partner, which I'm sure you guys heard in the interview.
Yeah.
But not to mention, they got a true freshman that just entered the chat in his varsity debut against Wisconsin. He ended up winning 4-3, Joseph Oliveri, and he's wrestling at, I think, 133. But for him to be ranked in the top 20 immediately, that's good things going forward. You could expect him to make some noise in the Big Ten. But bro, you ready for the Big Ten schedule coming up?
Oh boy, it's a gauntlet, as you said before.
Yeah. So they wrestle Illinois on Friday, then they wrestle Penn State on Sunday, but that one's on ESPN. Yeah, so if you don't care about the Dallas Cowboys, you could tune in on ESPN and catch our boy.
I'll definitely put it side by side at my house.
Just to give you an idea, the Illinois kid that Paz wrestles is ranked 19th in the country. Then Penn State, Aaron Brooks, that dude's ranked 2nd. He's
the Olympian.
He's legit. No, that's not even the Olympian. So
wow. As
we go forward, Michigan State. I don't have the kids ranked there, but then Michigan. That's Miles. I mean, that's the kid that took 3rd in the Olympics. I don't think it was for the United States. I'm actually positive that it wasn't. But he's the Michigan wrestler. So we get to see Paz against the number 1 and the number 2 ranked wrestlers within a week of each other in the country. So definitely got those circled on my calendar. But the one that I really want to look forward to is the Ryder match, because that's the one I think we're going to go to.
Yeah, let's do it. When is that? February
3rd.
3rd. All right. So it's Thursday night. We'll go over to the rack, aka Jersey Mike's Arena now, over in Rutgers. We definitely want to check out Paz at least once. We have all of his merchandise. In fact, I will say this. I bought the wrong size for the Paz Victory hoodie. I now have in my possession, brand new, never worn, Paz extra large Victory hoodie. Maybe we'll try to give that away because I think it's first of all, awesome design. I love the. We got the chop. You never actually know like when this is new. By the way, this is new. This is our new zip up. So we got a lot of stuff going on over here. I'm not the only
one who has issues with that, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos. When I say a lot of YouTube videos, like that's pretty much what I spend most of my free time doing, and nobody points at the right thing. They're all like, there's like, oh, click right here, and it's over there. Everybody does the same thing.
I'm going to point to Gooch right now. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, see, I did it. One shot deal. You know how I knew that? Because I knew if I turned to my left, I'll try and point to you.
So comment for the comments. A lot of you guys are talking about Flores and Tua. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. We'll definitely talk to. There's a lot of stuff going on with Flores and Tua over there in Miami. But first, we have to. Speaking of seasons, mid seasons, we got the New York Knickerbockers who have evened the playing field last night with now they're 21-21, a 500 club. For anybody who was writing the Knicks off, they're only 4.5 games out of their 4 seed that they were at last year. So they're only 4.5 games. But my biggest question is this. The Nets also got a win last night, which, again, they thrashed the Bulls. And the Bulls are the best team in the Eastern Conference right now, record-wise, right? Dude, why aren't there's only a 6-game discrepancy between the Nets and the Knicks? I feel like that's low. I feel like for a team that's loaded with superstars, Kyrie on half the time, and then you got the best player in the world, Durant, and you got Harden's fat ass shooting a bunch of threes here and there. Why are they only 6 games ahead of the Knicks?
Well,
who have nobody except for Randall?
Well, a couple things. The Nets have been dealing with a lot of issues with their roster, like very depleted roster.
Well, that's not
and
my problem.
Kyrie, you say half the time. Kyrie has played 1 game. I believe 1 game, maybe 2 games.
I'm saying half the time going forward. Like he's only going to be there half the time.
I read a report today that the Nets expect Kyrie to be on board very soon. So I don't know if that means that he's changing his tune on the vaccine.
Of course they are. Of course
They're
they are.
changing their tune. He's not changing
They're
his.
exactly. They're changing their
Here's
tune.
the thing: the Nets would let Kyrie play vaxxed or unvaxxed because a lot of teams are letting that happen around the league. It's not.
It's
New York.
thing.
It's New York.
Right.
So yes, it has nothing to do with the Nets. The Nets would welcome him back with open arms, as you see that they've done in this weird fashion where you would never see that typically, but. I guess
think it's
COVID
quote
brings
unquote immunized.
brings all the weird things to the table. Now, that's very funny. He's not. Aaron Rodgers is, though. So, look, the way I'm looking at this is what you're saying is the Nets, the Knicks, why are they so close? Well, are they?
I mean, it's 6 games is not close.
I agree. Like
but it's a halfway point right now. So if the Knicks continue to play their ball, and Scoop came in before and said that the Knicks, when RJ Barrett plays like the number 3 overall pick, the Knicks are a good basketball team. That he has to be the new piece. Him and obviously Randall needs to just hit his shots and be on the entire
I agree
game.
that the Knicks have potential to get better because RJ Barrett coming into his own, and he was out for a decent amount. I don't know if he was out for a while or he was just out with COVID, but I know that they needed him to come back and play well, and he is. But if you look at things really, right, and if you project over the rest of this season, and it's the halfway point, the Knicks are 6, you could say 7 games. I would say 6 because it splits the difference in the wins and loss column. So they're 6 games behind in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, halfway point, if things project and everything goes the way it went in the first half, which I think the Nets are trending in the better direction because now they are getting Kyrie for these games. So they do get Kyrie back in some way, shape, or form, if not for the rest of the season, at least half of the rest of the season. So they're in a better position there. And if it projects the way it went, then they'll finish the season around 12, 13 games up on the Knicks. And that's what I expect. You never know. The Knicks could win a lot of games because they probably have some gimmies in the Eastern Conference, even though they could be considered in some ways a gimme.
Give me in the playoffs a 2-7 Nets Knicks or a 1-8 Nets Knicks. Give me that all day long. I would love to see it. And yes, we all are aware.
You would love the
Kevin
week,
Durant. What?
You would love the week leading up to it, but I have a feeling that you would really, really have a hard time with the rest of the week.
We get it. Kevin Durant, best player in the league. It's just, and I don't know.
This is the time the Knicks started heating up last year. They were like beginning of February.
Yes, it was right
We were
around
just getting
right
cooking.
around February is when the Knicks started getting hot last year. And this is all about it. And a big stat coming from AJ Pascone. The Nets are 3-15-1 against the spread at home. So there you go. No Kyrie. There is a problem, and I'm not saying you're not winning
that
games.
graphic road court advantage question mark.
Yeah, I remember.
That's a real thing.
That's a
with the
real
Nets
thing
at
now.
this point.
But
I think all Nets fans will agree that it's
look at that stat.
the
coming from
5 seed
Kyle
is actually more impressive.
The Knicks are 11-2 when Fournier scores at least 18 points. So when he has a good game, which i.e. is only against the Boston Celtics, that the Knicks win games.
He had a good game last night.
He did have a good game last night, which probably adds to that 11-2 record. He had himself a day. In any event, but it is the midseason report. They're just around the 50% done with the regular season. They're halfway home. So
if it ended right now, the Knicks are a playoff team?
They are not. They're 11th.
They're working on it.
Yeah, we're slow and steady. Wins the race, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Ask
with the
me
Eastern
again
Conference, there's some
The
parity
week
up
after
there.
I go to the game.
They're 500 and they're not in. That's very un-Eastern Conference like.
So that means the Eastern
Yeah.
Conference is a little
Right? Like usually
Things
the
are a little
6 seed
dicey in the
6
East
seed
right
on
now.
is like below 500 in the Eastern Conference, at least typically in the last my whole life.
Yeah, Scoop. Some of Julius Randle did not suck balls last night. That helps. It does help.
Did you
When he's
know in the game last week that was his lowest scoring game?
slowest or lowest?
Lowest.
Well, he also didn't score any points in the first quarter the other day.
Yeah, I think he
I think that
scored
was their
3.
win over the one we all got excited about.
Yeah.
the RJ buzzer beater. The Julius Randle
I don't
didn't
even remember
score.
who he played.
Yeah,
Scoop, I don't think you're using parity correctly there.
What did they
What?
say? More parity. No,
Grammar.
parity. Yeah, no, parity is
Isn't
when
it like
anybody
PA?
can beat anybody.
That's parity, like spelled differently. I think parody. That's like a.
Of course, you got to call him
You're
out.
gonna
and
write a
spell it.
sonnet. And
Like
fucking-
parody.
Jesus Christ. In any event, that's our Knicks and Nets talk for the day. But we have to bring what is Kyle one more time. Separated by 1 game. I know. So the Knicks are only down, right? They're only down like 2 games total, I believe, to the 6th seed. So the Knicks are right there. So there is a lot of parity spelt correctly. I'm not spelling it out loud, but I'll say there is a lot of parity in the East. There's no parity. And so somebody that's not right either, I don't think.
I don't think
that's
so.
right.
That's not a word.
That's
Is that a
not, there's
word?
no way. Facebook user, by the way, if you're watching this video,
Do you want
please
to have a
get out of the video.
spelling, do you want to have a
and
spelling bee?
go ahead, take over. Get out of the video and go to YouTube. Okay, go to YouTube, click on like, click on subscribe, so we can see who the hell you are who also can't spell parody right. Because parody is definitely spelled not that way either, Scoob. Jesus Christ, parrot and an E. Parody. This is ridiculous. I've never seen so many intellectual.
I'm right. You get all shut it down.
Somebody get on
Definitely-
Google.
It's definitely parody.
Just
the way AJ
Google
just put
it.
up.
All right. In any event, we do have some conversation about the NFL because there's a lot of stuff going on. But when we left the office yesterday, I'm thinking to myself, look, how many times can you bang over matchups over the head, right? We're gonna definitely talk more about it tomorrow on a Lean Friday with Kyle if he decides to come in, right? And I always say if, Kyle, because I never know with you, and I don't want to like lead your people on and say like, yes, he's booked, he's here. Like we know that you have late nights and sometimes rough mornings. So like I'm not about to sit here and like,
Yeah, but
definitely
he's got when Kyle comes in with the shades after a no reason whatsoever rough night, I think it's like one of those scenes that
Is it safe to
epic.
say he's going to be here?
I just see our views going up as Kyle walks through the door. I'm like, I can't wait to fucking check.
All
the
I hear is like
analytics
hypnotized in the background, like boom, boom, as he like walks in here with his shades
tomorrow.
on. You're like,
Kyle will talk shit in the chat on Thursdays.
thank
right?
you.
That
Danny
he's-
texted me on the side, by the way. PARODY is parody, by the way. That's how
Yeah.
you spell it. The Scoop
there's
spell it
two
wrong
words-
originally.
There's 2 words that are pronounced parody, and there's different meanings, and they're both correct spelling. You're wrong. Trust me, Danny.
Tomato, right?
Danny,
Are
the
we
beef
talking
is
here?
back on,
Yes.
bro.
Any event. Oh God. Am I coming to the studio for this fantasy thing? That's another thing. Kyle told us about some kind of fantasy draft, and I've heard nothing of it.
At what time of night did he say that?
At
He
night?
said at 1:00 in the afternoon.
It's
No,
going to be
I
right after the
mean-
show.
At what time of the night did he put that in the
Oh,
chat?
I don't know. He's probably Johnny Walkered out at that point. Like I just don't. I never actually knew. Like when he started talking about it, he's like, "Yeah, just throw me $50." He said that 3 times already. And I'm like, "Sure, for what?" Like I have no idea. I get so many emails, 6 good, 6 bad per
Ooh,
day.
he's
Like
got
Joe
an
Judge.
NFL guarantee, playoff guarantee to make on the show
Boy,
tomorrow.
now that's what I'm talking about, Kyle. Guarantee tomorrow, and it better
That's a
be
risky-
involving
risky
the
word.
team that I'm wearing on my hat right now. So we'll see about
Mm.
that. But there is some news to go over. Yesterday, like I said, we can always beat the matchups over the head until we actually pick the games tomorrow. But Big Ben making some air right now because of what he said yesterday. Please bring this up, Dina. Make sure the volume's up on it. Bring up the clip.
Take that graphic down.
Yeah, but bring up the clip and we'll see what Big Ben had to say yesterday about his matchup with the Chiefs.
It won't let me unmute it.
Understand that, we probably aren't supposed to be here. We're probably not a very good football team. We're out of 14 teams I think are in, we're probably number 14. We're a double-digit underdog in the playoffs. So let's just go play and have fun and see what happens.
So there's Big Ben. So Big Ben decided to basically play loose. He's hanging loose right now. So what do you think as far as his mentality going into this game? Why are you smirking? The smirks are
it's the
just.
comments. It's the
We
comments.
got. I haven't determined how interactive we want to be because if we get distracted with the comments,
Well, that's why I didn't say anything. You're the one.
If anything,
'Cause I look over to
relevant
you and
comes
talk,
up,
and
I'll
then
follow
we're
it.
like,
no, if I'm just laughing at the comments because
wait.
there's a little bit of a
oh, they didn't.
That's why we gotta take the screens away.
Yeah. They will be gone by the time we get the new desk. But in any event, that makes me want to bet Pittsburgh. Here's the thing, and that's what I was bringing. I wanted to bring this up to you. The mentality that Big Ben has right now is very hang loose. We're not supposed to be here. Nobody's betting on us. We're double-digit underdogs. Like, is this the way to go into a playoff game? Because look, after watching that, I'm sitting there like, you'd almost be a fool to bet the Chiefs with that big money, that 13 or 14 spread, whatever the hell it's going to wind up at. But then, like, you'd be the smarter guy to bet the Steelers here. No, am I wrong?
I mean, we're gonna find out after the game who's smart.
Obviously, yes,
But I don't know, man. I feel like you could feel this way and not say it. You get what I'm saying? Like you could be like, yeah, you talk to your teammates and be like, look, we're not supposed to be here, but to say we're the worst team in the declare that you're the worst team in the playoffs.
You only declare that for the record. The record states that.
He did make comparisons and then quickly shot them down on his own because the interview was a lot longer, or the quote, I should say, compared to the Steelers team that won the Super Bowl with Bettis and that they were the 6th seed. They caught lightning in a bottle at the end of the year. Like, let's be honest, that team had some Hall of Famers on the defense. They had a really good team. This is not that team, and Ben admitted that. This isn't that team. And the fact is that there wasn't the Chiefs. There's some good teams out there. They're playing the Chiefs in the first round.
Right.
I don't think that you're smart to bet Pittsburgh based on Big Ben's comments. Does anybody really have confidence that the Steelers are going to score more than 10 points in this game? They're getting bonus football. It's a good story for Big Ben, for those that like Big Ben. And shout out to Ken Paulman. I love the long.
Oh, did you get that?
The long,
Were we grouped
that was
together on
both
that?
of us. I was working last night, so I couldn't actually.
Oh
respond
man, I got to that this
when I
morning,
read it, but I
said,
figured
can't
I'd
read
address
this.
it on the show. I somewhat agree with a lot what he's saying as far as TJ Watt goes, not being a one-trick pony, et cetera, et cetera.
Calls us homers,
But he
though.
called me a homer, and then
Us,
I read the 2-paragraph text message,
Right.
and it was all talking about how the Steelers. So we are all homers, and I would not be talking great about the Packers if they were 6-10. I can promise you that. So we happen to be 13-4.
All right, so Mike's coming in. What do the Steelers need to do to win this game? If there's any shot whatsoever, and I think right now what they're doing right now is the best chance they have to win the game. Meaning, they're going in there saying, "Guys, this is house money. Like, we're not supposed to be here. We got in here because of a tie and a technicality, kind of like almost, So I'm looking at this like, fuck it. Let's just go out there and sling it. I know I can't really sling it much anymore.
What do they need to do to win the game? Right? I think
Steelers team total, by the way, 16 and a half.
I think that they need to not be put in a position to where they have to throw 40 times like they've been in the past couple of weeks. Like, they need to run the football, control the clock, make it a sloppy game, and hopefully injure Patrick Mahomes, because that's really, like, I think they're two paths to victory is to knock Mahomes out and to run the ball 50 times this game, and just a lethal dose of Najee Harris. And he has to perform, not only just give him the ball. Like, the offensive line and Najee Harris have to perform, which Najee Harris had a great year. Another guy that got overlooked in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
Yeah. Oh, well, Joe Pizzamenti coming in from left field, aka 3 feet away. It's his last game. He has nothing left to prove. He should be just going out there to have fun. He has no issue with the comments. I agree.
I don't particularly have
Haven't the
issue with it.
last 3
As a
games?
fan of the Steelers, I might. I would like to have some more confidence. I don't think that he sounds very confident. I don't think that matters. I think it's going to come down to execution. And I think a guy in Ben's spot, he's 39 years old. He's had a lot of playoff football games, a lot of football games under his belt. There's no reason why he should be not confident per se, but he just doesn't come off that way. To say that you're the 14th best team in the playoffs when there's teams out there.
Do you think
like
there's
the
any kind of
Eagles and
tongue in
things
cheek,
like
well, we're 14th, so we shouldn't,
I
but
mean,
he his mind is like, we can
yes and
definitely
no.
win this
I
game.
guess that's like playing with the house money. I tell
Or he's
myself,
playing with the house.
like, if I win a bet and like I'm like, all right, well, house money, you know what I mean? It doesn't suck less to lose the next one, but you kind of have like the consolation. It's like, oh, it's house money anyway. Well, Big Ben, you want to win.
So whoever
obviously.
Facebook user is, he came in and said the Steelers thrive in shitty, chaotic games where Najee has 100+ yards. So if you're watching this on Facebook, please do me a favor. Head on over to YouTube right now. The link is literally where you're watching. It's right above you. Hit that, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. And I asked everybody that's chiming in right now to do the same. Anyway, coming in from Robert Bohannon, the Steelers need to score early. Stop them on third down. Chiefs are great on third down. So, yeah, of course, you got to get off the field. As bad as their run defense is, that I was talking to you about this, about the Cowboys with the Niners. Like, I was like, if the Cowboys get an extra possession or two based off a turnover or a missed field goal or something like that, and they take advantage, that's where the Steelers can like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Like the Steelers just scored a touchdown here because Freiermuth decided to catch one in the back of the end zone. They have the tools.
They need to do all of these things that everybody's saying, and they need to get lucky. It's not going to happen just by execution. Like, they're going to need a punt muff or something like that, where a turnover deep in the red zone in the right spot. I just don't see it happening unless there's a lot of luck involved. I'm riding I'm not going to make my pick.
Don't
but
make your pick
everybody
yet.
knows
But anyway,
where I'm
Kyle
headed
chiming
with
in.
this one.
We already saw the Steelers try to play conservatively against the Kansas City Chiefs. They got smacked. They're going to come out playing nothing to lose football, throwing it deep, get some PI calls. That's another big thing. The PI calls this year in particular have been atrocious.
I don't know that
and
Big
that
Ben
could be a
can
factor.
throw deep, though.
I think he can. I think just that he doesn't have the time to do it.
Big Ben is struggling out there with these.
I just think that's the
throwing
safe,
deep ball.
safe play for him is to do the 3-yard outs. Okay, his average distance of air time is like 2.5 yards or something. So it's not like we're not sitting here saying like, oh, he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it, right? He just doesn't do it. Maybe because his receivers aren't getting open, and he has a couple good receivers on the outside. It's not like he doesn't have the weapons. It's just maybe he doesn't have the time to do it. So we'll see.
Well, guess what?
The Chiefs have a great front.
The Chiefs blitz.
Yeah,
a
that
lot.
too. Spagnuolo is a
So,
genius.
Big Ben against the blitz. I just don't see it. You know, it gives the guys on the back end for Kansas City that much more help because Big Ben isn't able to move around in the backfield. Not like he ever was, but at least back then he was like hard to bring down. Now Big Ben's bringing himself down. If he has to move too fast, he almost stumbles over.
He's like Peyton Manning
He
in his
doesn't
latest
almost.
days.
He does stumble over his own feet. I really do think that Big Ben is seriously holding this team back, and it's a nice story, but a lot like the Saints last year, where the Saints would have had a better chance if Drew Brees wasn't their quarterback last year. It's a very similar situation to Pittsburgh.
No, I agree. But yeah, shout out to Ken Paulman for that long, lengthy message calling us homers. But I will ask you this, Gooch, because I got to know, just because he brought it up, and if I asked you straight up, you'd be like, Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, like you would say all the Packers because that's somewhat true and somewhat like you being you.
I already know where you're going with this, and I'm game.
Okay, so here we go. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? Not named the Green Bay Packers. The best team in the NFL heading into the playoffs
It's
right
very,
now.
very easy for me, and it's the Chiefs.
You think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL right now?
Absolutely.
Going into the playoffs, the hottest team going.
Let's really look at what they've done since they were 3-4. The Chiefs were 3-4. They lost to Cincinnati in a game that they basically had a double-digit, maybe 3-score lead in at halftime or around halftime, and Jackpot Joey just did what he does best, and he brought them back in a big win for Cincinnati. But I'm really looking forward to the potential rematch in that game in the divisional round. But I don't think it's close. It's the Chiefs. There was issues with their defense. Everybody was like, oh, the Chiefs could be had, and they can. But they've really fixed that back end of the defense, and it's allowed the pass rush, the amount that they blitz Spagnuolo. If we're talking about assistant of the year, I think Steve Spagnuolo could be up there, man. He really did a great job in the second half of this season.
Now, opposite side of the spectrum, just because, I agree with you, by the way, with the Chiefs. I think when it's Patrick Mahomes, he's an all-world athlete. Even when he doesn't have his best players out there, he's still making it.
Because they could score points really fast.
They're
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if the Steelers do everything right, like there's still that element. It's Patrick Mahomes. You got Tyreek Hill. You got they could score immediately. So the Steelers are really up against it in this one. They need some help, some special teams help, some things like that you can't account for when you look at the game and the matchups. It's just like you don't know if the Kansas City punt returner is going to fumble a punt in a big spot. Things like that.
Yeah. So from the best to a conversation we have to have, because while we are always talking about playoff games and playoff teams and guys at the upper echelon of the league, there are a couple teams out there that I cannot get over how they finished based off of what their expectations were. And that's the most disappointing teams in the league. And we narrowed it down to 3, but there's a conversation to be had about multiple. We're talking about the Colts, we're talking about the Chargers, and we're talking about the Ravens. The Colts in specific, because I just watched Hard Knocks last night, right? And it was a 45-minute episode and kind of bothered me a little bit because after their closing, and they all looked upset. But like they painted that picture of saying like, even Frank Reich went into his pre-thing and he said, look, it's been a long time since we went down to Jacksonville, won a game, but we're going to do it this time. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are more than capable of beating us in this finale. That's not the right message. The message is we have one win because we decided to slip up.
He said they were more than capable?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. I'm paraphrasing, but yes, the Jaguars are an able team to win that game.
You just don't need to
you don't need to put that thought in their head
for your team. It's just like, look, you guys had a disappointing game, and in turn, it caused you to have a disappointing season against a team you should have beaten. Look, all is not lost. Like, you guys are all rich. Go home, enjoy your family, go on vacation, come back strong, ready to go. That's the message you might.
I know.
I wouldn't be given the message of like, look, moral victory. You just got your season ended by the worst team in football historically. No, that's not a good message at all.
Breaking news live on the show regarding the Knicks, because we just talked about it. The Knicks have traded for Cam Reddish.
He's a nice
That's
it.
guy.
Yeah, so Knicks breaking news. They and a 2025 second round pick for Kevin Knox. Knox is no longer a New York Knick. He's out.
Oh.
You get a guy.
And a first round pick.
You get a guy.
Is Reddish that good? I mean, the Knicks gave up Knox in a first rounder for Reddish in a second.
I think Reddish is good for this team right now. Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know that the Knicks first round pick. We'll see. I don't know. That second round pick that the Knicks got is pointless.
The chat is buzzing right now. It came from Danny first. He said, breaking news, check your phones. And Joe Pizzamenti next door, he's got the TV fired up, so I'm sure he got the Woj bomb too. Kyle says we got our wing defender back. Cam Reddish is a Duke guy. He's going to be playing with RJ Barrett. Great 3D. Cam Reddish is a lockdown on the perimeter. Listen.
We need him.
Listen. Now that we're 21-21, slate's clean.
This is the type of move that you would have expected the Knicks to make in the offseason instead of doing the Kemba thing. But what does that leave Kemba? I mean, does that take him out of the rotation?
I don't know. We'll see. But
see.
I didn't want to get too
once.
far off the beaten path here.
We
But
already took him out once.
this is true. They already took him out the rotation once.
All right, let's get back to
Sorry
what
about
point
that.
was
But
I
that's big news. We'll talk more about it with Kyle tomorrow. We can break that down.
Fair point.
But in any event,
Bring up the Colts and
the disappointing seasons.
The bum seasons.
The bums. So the Colts are on that list. But what are the Colts missing? Like the fact that they dropped the ball literally and figuratively in the last couple of weeks. What are these guys missing as far as on their team to be the ones that separate themselves? That division, to me, with the Jaguars in it, the Texans in it, and the Titans, who lost Derrick Henry for the year until now, that was a winnable division for the Colts. What happened, Gooch? What happened here?
I mean, you could blame it on Carson Wentz. I wouldn't really go that far. I don't think that he really was the donkey of the Colts team. I don't know that there really is one guy. I think that it's more or less their inability to really cover the pass and defend the pass in big spots. I think they were in a lot of tight games and they lost because they just weren't able to stop guys late. And they also don't have that breakaway guy on the outside. They have Michael Pittman.
Pittman looked good.
He's a good receiver, but
he's hurt all year.
Blowing the cover off the defense. He's a solid all-around receiver, Pittman, but he's not a superstar. He's right around where he's at. Like he's like a number 3 fantasy guy. So that gives you a little idea as to where he's at. It's more of a number 2 compliment.
There's multiple people coming in on Wentz. Anand Ashar came in, said Colts need a quarterback. Pizzamenti came in, said Wentz happened. My brother comes in. Wentz showed who Wentz really was. I was on that train too. I'm like, this dude has to show up in a big spot, and he's not proven to do that yet.
I don't fully put it on Wentz though. I mean, like I think that without Wentz, that team was nowhere near the position they were in.
I don't know. Jonathan Taylor just kind of did it himself.
I agree. But if Wentz wasn't there, does Jonathan Taylor do that? You know, like you have to understand.
Yeah, I think they actually rely more as much as that's crazy.
Whether Carson Wentz is this or that, like he's at least a guy that has a decent arm. He's not a bad thrower. He's not a bad passer. He's really not. His decision-making might be questionable at times.
This is very true. Kyle coming in saying the offensive line several weeks in a row, we're down a couple guys.
Which I guess you could say that about every team because the Packers lost 4 offensive linemen and Kyle won't give them credit. So you can't say it was because of that because they had a chance to beat Jacksonville. Really, if we really want to break this all down, the Colts played in a lot of tight football games. You could look back at the Baltimore game where they blew a 3-score lead in the third quarter, late in the third quarter. You could look back to the Rams game, right, where like they lost barely, but these are good teams, you know?
You're right.
And then really just break down the Jaguars game. What happened there? They got their shit kicked in. I would say it's preparation. They weren't ready to go.
Whoa.
Wow.
I don't think that Wentz and Reich are a bad battery in terms of head coach, but maybe they're a little too friendly with each other.
Brandon Taylor coming in with a stat that I didn't realize because it says people don't realize. Guess what? I'm one of those people. Wentz going into last week was the only quarterback in NFL history with no interceptions on the road. Can that be a thing? Has he never thrown a pick on the road?
I think this season.
It would have to be this season because I'm pretty sure he did it plenty of times for the Eagles. But in any event, Colts line was missing 5. Yeah. So again, I get it. New Jersey real estate experts, by the way, coming in. So I appreciate you guys chiming in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Anybody who's watching for the first time. So yes, injuries are a part of it. And that's what segues me to the Ravens when it comes to injuries and why they pop up on this like most disappointing list. Now, somebody came in before and said, like, have you talked about the Ravens yet with their 40+ injuries? Yeah, there he is, Glow, right? Glow's coming in just this season, according to Brandon Taylor, as far as the interceptions on the road. That's impressive. It is, absolutely is. But again, in the big game, the big spot, he didn't deliver. In any event, talking about the Ravens now, these guys were the 1 seed before Christmas. You know what I'm saying? It was like early December, late November, they were the 1 seed. Lamar goes down. So here's the thing. Anybody coming up with the 40+ injuries excuse for the Ravens collapse, I don't think you can use that here because they were the 1 seed with all the injuries.
Well,
the only injury you added at the end of the year was Lamar Jackson.
Well, I mean, like what happens when you have injuries is you lose your depth. And then because you have all the injuries early, that doesn't mean you're not going to sustain the normal wear and tear of an NFL season. So like, they lost their guys and basically like they had all of their offseason preparation done. They were about to enter week 1 and then they lost corners, running backs, both running backs, third running back. They had you remember the beginning of the year? It was like, who's going to run the ball? It was like the hot guy. What was it? Tyson Williams. Me and Kyle,
by the way,
on him.
Went away for the year until me and my brother were watching the Ravens game the other day. I'm like, they're like, oh, hand off Tyson. I'm like,
early successful week 2, I would say. I think Tyson Williams did do well for me 1 week. But yeah, you get what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't say that it's like you could write off the injuries as the reason why. To your point, you said that you don't think the injuries are
what I'm saying was they weathered the storm entire
year. But in the context of this conversation, the most disappointing season, I think the injuries exclude. That's the reason why they're not the most disappointing because they dealt with a lot early to key spots. And I know that injuries happen. We're talking about the Colts. I'm like, you can't give them the pass because every team deals with it. The Ravens dealt with it a lot worse than most teams this year. Like you saw what happened in preseason.
And yes, they lost their starting quarterback. And I know a little bit of something about how you lose your starting quarterback and have to rely on QB2, QB3, QB4.
And we forgot to mention the elephant in the room because somebody did in the comments. Your brother. They went for 2, down 1 twice this year and failed on both conversions. That's their season.
Here you go. Ready? They don't do that. They're a playoff team now.
Maybe not because they could have lost both games in overtime.
But they didn't.
Because that's a massive point. Good job, Dan.
Because both teams are playoff teams that happen against. So one of them being the Steelers. And the other one being Green Bay. So the chances are like they're in very losable games at that point still. But yes, even if they split there, I would imagine. I don't think they even a split would have gotten them in. I think they would have needed to win both.
In any event, I do know all about the whole losing the quarterback thing, right? Like this kid that came in. Played well, he played well. And I know it's like, it wasn't Lamar Jackson adjacent, but had a very similar skill set. He could throw, he could run. Like, I think he can actually throw a better ball, but that's just me. I might be sounding a little in the minority there, but, they had decent quarterback play, but they couldn't weather the storm. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute, are you really going into the last couple of weeks with Devonta Freeman as your starting RB? Like, stop with that. Like, that's
what happens over the course of the season.
I get it, but that also means there's no player development. There's what happened to Tyson Williams? He was supposed to be the guy.
I mean, they picked him up off the street. They had J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I feel like that's a pretty solid one too. They kicked the tires on Le'Veon Bell.
I was excited about Dobbins.
But Latavius Murray's a good running back. He had a decent year for them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and act like they fucked up there or messed up there. Excuse my language, as if that
I'm
matters.
Sorry. What?
I just felt like that was
800 episodes in. You say excuse your language now.
Also, did I see something on YouTube yesterday where a guy like changed the verbiage on a curse so they would monetize it?
What?
We have to look into that, but we're not going to talk shop.
Okay.
I don't think that the Ravens are the most disappointing team.
AJ made a good point, just like you said. They had to rely on cornerbacks 5, 6, and 7, and running backs 4, 5, and 6. You know what I mean? So yes, their injuries that they got. My only argument, again, towards this point, is that they were fine. They were fine a month ago. They were fine, and they had these injuries. There was running backs 1 and 2 are gone. All their corners were gone. They were still okay. Something else happened. Danny made a good point. They don't go for 2 there. Maybe we're singing a different tune, and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Scoop is saying to put the Browns in as disappointing season 2. I mean, I wasn't high. I guess I was somewhat high if you look at but Baker just sucks, man. So
yeah, the Browns, except for Peoples-Jones.
According to AJ.
Yeah, poor AJ getting roasted on that one. But the Chargers are also in this conversation.
And also, you mentioned Tyler Huntley, just to wrap up the Ravens. I think he kind of showed his colors a little bit in the last 2 weeks where he was really struggling to throw the ball. I watched the first 3 games. It was like he had lightning in a bottle. He caught every team that played him by surprise. but they kind of caught up to him. And obviously, you saw Lamar is obviously better. Right?
Clearly, as far as making game-changing ability,
I mean, we
yes.
can't gloss over the fact that Lamar Jackson is an MVP in the league.
Former.
He's won the MVP, so he's got one under his belt within the last 2 years.
Right.
So Lamar Jackson's a good player, and they lost him down the stretch. And we're looking at what happened with the Ravens. It's like,
Get your ass back on the field, Lamar.
That's what happened, bro.
Get your ass back on the
field. You lose your
field.
quarterback, you lose their entire secondary. That's it.
I get it. But now the Chargers, for one. Now, Brandon Taylor coming in saying Staley is absolutely to blame for the Chargers, but there was moments this season, Gooch, we were like, wow, this Staley guy, he knows what he's doing over there. Like, he's analytics driven, obviously.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Staley and the Chargers, like Justin Herbert coming off Rookie of the Year season, didn't really slump per se, had weapons on the outside. Eckler played all world this year. Their defense played with Derwin James, one of the best safeties in the game right now. Where the frick did these guys go wrong? Like, how did they miss the playoffs again? They couldn't get the job done on a win and in scenario in Vegas against a lesser Raiders team. Let's be honest. I like the Raiders. Calm down. I like the Raiders, and I think they're a good team. But the Chargers had more. If you look at the roster side by side, Chargers were definitely the better team.
Coach.
I don't know that I entirely agree with that, because the Chargers have guys in certain spots. That's like, they got the Keenan Allens, and Herbert's like this darling, but I don't think that Herbert had as good a season as Derek Carr. I don't think that he's the quarterback Derek Carr is right now. And I know that people will laugh at me when I say that, but you're seeing Derek Carr's proof is in the pudding. He's a good leader. He's good in the fourth quarter. And Justin Herbert, while I do think he's on his way, he's gonna do better making decisions. And speaking of making decisions, Brandon Staley's got to do better making decisions. I understand that it's this new age thing where you want to apply analytics, and I agree with it in certain cases, like going forward on 4th and 1, go for it most times. But you have to figure out where you are on the field. You can't be doing that shit in your own territory.
Right.
That will catch up to you in the long run in this league, and it did. The timeout, I mean, that's the most disappointing thing, because they were there. Like all the other teams, I guess you could say the Colts, because they lost to Jacksonville with a chance to win and get in, and they flipped the AFC playoffs on their head. So if it comes down to the two teams, you eliminate Baltimore, and I'm saying it's a close, tight 1-1A with the Colts and the Chargers, because they had every opportunity in front of them. They didn't need help from anybody at the time of their game, and they both blew it. So,
well, as far as people bringing up the Browns, I want to say Baker was banged up of a lot of this season. And I'm not saying he's a good quarterback in general. I'm just saying he was banged up as well. So that's a thing. They trade Odell. They get rid of one of their better weapons, because look, at the end of the day, it's been proven now that Odell Beckham was a big piece to miss over there in Cleveland. Their running game was great, and I understand that. And their defense, Myles Garrett, is in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. So they're definitely okay. I don't know about the Browns. Also played in a very hard division, much like the Ravens. So
honestly, I feel like that's, when you look back at it, is that really that hard of a division? I think that was
it's the Ravens, the Steelers.
I think arguably the most disappointing division in football, because the Steelers,
going in, you would look at it and be like, wow,
yeah, this season,
that AFC North. Holy,
I'm not saying that they're a bad division. They're all like tough teams. They do things well, but in terms of the expectations going in, and where they're all finishing, and Cincinnati being the best team that we all thought sucked, that's like a huge surprise. But Rob in the comments brought up the Seahawks.
They lost Russ for a month.
Yeah, but in terms of, so they lost Russ for a month.
And they had Geno friggin' Smith.
Lamar Jackson, and they also won a game.
I know, I watched.
But Lamar Jackson missed 3 games down the stretch. So it's like Russ only missed a couple more, so to just write them off as like, well, they lost Russ. Well, they were 2-3 when Russ went down. So they were already up against it. They were already reeling
in a division where they couldn't be up against it. Yeah. Like you had to win games.
So that's
early.
a good point. I think that they might be. I don't think they might be. They are the most disappointing team in the NFC. I don't think that's a question.
Yeah, all these teams are in the AFC that we're talking about.
You could say maybe Minnesota, but I don't think Minnesota had the expectations. Seattle going into the year, you were talking maybe Super Bowl, maybe 1 seed. Winning that division. Some people had them picked. I think Rams were the clear preseason favorite, but Seattle was right there.
You can't really talk about the Saints because they lost Jameis Winston. They lost their gun, so their quarterback play was toast. I don't know. I guess you're right. Seattle probably takes the cake in the NFC. I want to say that makes sense. I like that pick. But we don't have to end this on a bad note. However, there is some news about Brian Flores floating around before we get out of here. It's a big deal. Brian Flores obviously was fired in Miami after legitimately finishing above 500, winning 7 or 8 of 9, right? We're all up in arms like, what just happened in Miami? Well, this is what happens when you wait a couple days instead of jumping to conclusions and saying, it's because obviously this, that, and the third, and this, that, blah, blah. Like, obviously you're all wrong, because here's what we're learning now via Instagram comments, via Kenny Stills, via players on the team.
Mike Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki has said something. Flores and the offense didn't get along. The mind-numbing thing that we learned about prior, what are we doing with these PED tests?
Yeah, dude.
Is that a thing?
He's pretty much just saying, like, wow, Tua, you got big, and I don't get it. So NFL, my own quarterback, his body transformation is a little off to me. I think you should PED test him.
That's
now,
insane.
To me, the minute if that's true, because it's still speculation at this point.
It's been quoted, but that was Stills who said that,
yeah,
right?
but that doesn't mean it's true.
That's true.
You know, he's just another
true.
guy that could also lie, and
right.
he could have gotten misinformation from somebody. I just don't see that as really possible. If it is possible, it's lunacy to me, and it's very sabotage. It's like you're sabotaging your own quarterback. How hard is it to win football games when you're sabotaging your quarterback? I don't know though, because I did hear Flores come out and publicly back Tua a couple times with the Deshaun Watson thing swirling, but
he might have wanted Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
big time.
There's definitely a
so how can we make a drastic move? How can we do this? All right, Tua just keeps coming back and he's not hurt all the time like I expected him to be. How can we do this? Yeah, he looks like his bench numbers went up, you know, and like he's squatting a little bit more than what I had anticipated. All of a sudden, let's piss test the guy. Like if that turns out to be true, I, as a GM and an owner of any other NFL team, have a big, big problem bringing this guy in to be my coach.
The only guy that I could see being okay with that in his locker room is
Bill Belichick.
Is Belichick, honestly. And like, so that's where he's going to go.
Looking like he's
and you know what else I found funny yesterday? I found very funny yesterday. A lot of Giants fans are like clamoring for Flores. That would be ideal.
Yeah, but the difference is if Flores gets the Giants job and goes up to Daniel Jones like, you're looking you know what? I can't even I can't defend that. He looks like Eli.
I would imagine that Saquon will be tested daily because there's no way they want that contract anymore, even though it's not that big.
Quads ain't supposed to be that big. No. Like no.
But Brian Flores
he's in some trouble.
Went from like the most defended guy in history of the sport to like, wait just a minute. And honestly, I think that if you look at what Tua's been able to do, all things considered in Miami, you know, if this is actually real, Tua's win percentage is like pretty good, right? He wins football games. They won 8 of their last 9.
So now I ask you this, being that Flores is gone and Tua had the year that he had, is this a now interview process? Whoever comes into Miami to be the new head coach, is this saying like, hey, by the way, you're going to be our new head coach, and hey, by the way, Tua is your starting quarterback.
I think, yes, 100%.
So that's going to be in the contingency.
They drafted him in the first round 2 years ago.
The Cardinals drafted Josh Rosen in the first round.
All right, very
new
big,
coach,
very different talent, very different everything. Right,
but a new coach came in and said, "I want my guy," and drafted Kyler Murray. Same thing can happen here.
The Dolphins don't have the first pick either.
No,
right? And there's not a guy like Kyler Murray who you could think would change your franchise around in a flash. I think if there was that guy and the Dolphins were picking first, then there's a different conversation to be had. They're middle of the pack. They're not picking a quarterback in the first round because they're going to have Tua Jace. They're going to have the same thing. Maybe he could be better, but you get what I'm getting.
There was a guy that was drafted 14th, 15th overall last year. His name is Mac Jones. I think it played out pretty well for the Patriots.
Okay. Put Mac Jones on the Dolphins. And you're having the same issues. It's not like He's
got better guys on the outside.
Mac Jones isn't carrying his team by any stretch of the imagination.
So then why was he ever in the rookie of the year conversation?
Because of the win totals and because he's a rookie quarterback that took his team to the playoffs. And if you look at the numbers, which is what we're looking at, wins and numbers, they weren't bad until the final month of the season. So he played himself directly out of the MVP rookie of the year conversation.
Chase just went absolutely nuts.
And to ask why would they play him at all or play for him at all? I guess because you're getting paid. And this is a comment from Rob asking why would the players play for Flores at all? It's like because you're like, I might not like my boss, like I'm saying, if you get paid, you got to go to work.
If this is true, like how do you get in the locker room and say like, oh man, not add this extra like 5 pounds of muscle to my neck?
Oh yeah, that's a good point brought up by Brandon Taylor. Miami doesn't even have their first round pick, but They might have somebody else's, if I'm not mistaken.
Miami, they gave it to Philly
Yeah, but didn't they trade their entire roster the prior season
to get first-round picks.
to get
I don't
first-round
know.
picks? I guess we have to look at that.
We'll get
Maybe-
into that when draft season comes
we'll-
around.
we'll
But
approach that. But
the Brian Flores stuff is crazy, and if it turns out to be true, then maybe this interview process for Brian Flores going forward might be a little looked at a little sideways. Because again, if I'm a GM, I'm like, wait a minute, you didn't like your quarterback, so you try to get him busted for PEDs?
first of all, there
Like,
might be some truth to what's going on, but it also might just be a bunch of horse shit that we're hearing from guys that might have had their own personal beefs with him.
Very true.
We have no idea.
And I'm sure if you ask Flores, guess what? This never happened.
But I will tell you
So-
this. I will tell you this. The Dolphins played hard for their head coach each of the last 2 seasons. So you could say what you want about the
Because look,
relationship with the quarterback.
You and I both said this guy is ahead of a rebuild.
Yeah.
2 years ahead.
They have some talent over there, and I don't know, man.
It's
I
crazy.
think that I don't think it's all lost for Flores in terms of being a head coach again in this league. I think that he has some explaining to do, but maybe he can explain it. And winning football games is the ultimate thing that matters. And him having an issue with a player, that's really not that uncommon in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know,
Thanks
like
for bringing that up, jerk.
That's extremely common,
I
actually.
got you, boo.
Yeah. We have producer Dina who always brings up any comments that she deems fit. So she brought up, says that he's still better than Mike McCarthy. Well, here's the newsflash for you there, Glow. The Dallas Cowboys are 12-5, and they're sitting there at the 3 seed, and they have a playoff game this week. So therefore, he is not better than Mike McCarthy. That's ipso facto. That's just numbers, by the way.
Wait.
And shout out to Scoop. Who said it's a jump to conclusions, Matt. I always say this every time to when things go wrong. Like my brother tore his ACL, and while it's a bad thing and he's recovering and he's going to be fine and probably better than ever, I said, like, you know, when I tore my ACL, I said good things can happen. Just look at me. You know? Like, and I was never fast or at least remotely athletic again after I tore my ACL. But again, in my defense, I stopped wrestling. So because I was done with the whole, you know, get concussions every third day. But in any event, the Flores situation will escalate, and it's Glow. As an Eagles fan, it's my duty to shit on the Cowboys whenever you can. That's very true. I'm not.
For
Listen,
you.
I don't hate you for it. I hate your team, but I don't hate you for the banter that you're bringing to the Chop Sports Daily on the YouTube. So thank you very much on the YouTube. Listen to me. How old am
Dad.
I? Was that a
Dad,
dadism? That was a dad.
where's
That
the
was.
jar?
I caught myself on that one. That was on the YouTube, on the interstate.
It's
Hey, the
honestly,
internet.
it's so common that I don't even catch him anymore. It's just normal.
What?
It's Dave speak. You got Coach speak. You got Dave speak.
Is it happening? Like, is it the transition just fully goodbye?
Bringing
No.
Dad back.
When you say, is it happening? What do
It's
you mean?
happened.
It happened.
It's done.
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 You have completely morphed. You are no Dad Dave.
But I want to
You
be
got two
cool
now.
still,
You gotta get your
man.
street cred back.
There's hope. There's gripping on hope. All right, give rid of Flores. I'm done looking at his face right now, especially if he's being the POS that people say he's being. But in any event, this has been another jam-packed show. There was other stuff we wanted to get to, but we'll save it because tomorrow is going to be another jam-packed episode. So if you're watching this right now, there's a little bell, I think, that if you hit it's the bell. Is it the bell, right? You hit the bell and it notifies you. It lets you know. But I'm here to tell you that every day is the same time slot, same bat time, same bat channel. Is that another dadism? Because I'm talking about Adam West Batman back in the day. So anyway,
Yes.
11 o'clock,
Yes.
11 o'clock every day. We're here. We're live. We're talking shop, chopping it up. Have you? That's how this whole thing got started. So obviously tomorrow, Lean Fridays, Kyle's going to drop a bomb. He says he has a guarantee. Scoop said he's coming in. So he'll be in studio as well. I don't know when
His
or
guarantee is going to be some trolling coming at me about the Packers doing something wrong.
but he
No, I
said
don't
it's for
think
this
so.
weekend. It's for this weekend.
No, he
has it.
said no. He did not.
What?
He said an NFL playoff guarantee.
Okay. All right. Could
Is
involve
it could
your
it
beloved
might,
Green Bay
It might not be a
Packers.
pick. It might just be.
Scoop's coming in saying, I'll be there. I'm using my Patreon perk. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Let it
If you
know.
are a Dynasty member, a $10 a month subscriber,
No. It's the $5 one gets you the
bullshit. $5 get you 10% off. Relax.
and to
Calm
stop
down.
by the studio.
No, are you kidding? We got to up that. Because we're going to have people filing in here.
I mean we haven't had anybody file in here
I
yet.
can't buy that many drinks.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not enough beer in that fridge right now. In any event.
All right, it is for this.
It's for the weekend. Okay. Ashley saying hi for the 4th time. So acknowledge her, please, for
Hi,
love
baby.
of God. In any event, so the guarantee from the sauce is for this weekend. So I'm pumped to see what Kyle has for this weekend. And for Sturch, and Gooch, and of course the producer Dina, who brought up all the lovely comments. Toast coming in saying, "I got the Dynasty package from Alaska, ladies and gentlemen, Anchorage, Alaska, beautiful town. Let's all go to the what's it called? The Bush.
That's what I was laughing at
thing?
before.
What?
By the way, Sam Grasso always trolling Kyle for his bad picks, but
Oh.
it's not. It's like
It's the second time he said this too.
Wow, he brought it in.
I laughed at it earlier,
And
and
I
that's
didn't
when you stopped me. You were like, "What? What?" And I was like, "I'm just laughing at the comments."
It's an underdog that will win. He's going to bet the Steelers.
Or what? What kind of tattoo are we getting this time?
He's not.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait.
I feel like
what do you put on the line
I
besides
feel
your
like he
bankroll?
just handicapped that Dallas game.
No, he didn't. Don't do that.
It's that fishy. That's
Don't
a
get 'em all
fishy 3
excited.
points
Don't
right
do
there,
that. I don't-
baby. A fishy
Kyle, I'm
3
telling you right
points.
now, if you're coming in here to tell me the
Fishy 3
49ers are going to win,
I'm reeling that one in,
I
baby.
would
I'm
suggest you
reeling
just
that one
don't
in.
come back.
I think I know what it is.
All right. Well, in any event, thank you guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, do all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube, not the YouTube, just YouTube. And we appreciate you, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. AJ might have just spoiled it. Raiders, maybe we'll see.
I'll fade that.